welcome back to Fox 43 AM Live. Join us now is Ryan Gilliland with FHLBank Topeka and Jeff Hill with Mid-America Bank in Baldwin City. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Great to have you guys on the show today. I want to start out, share with us what you guys do for your banks.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I serve as our Director of Government and Industry Relations, so as part of that, I get to work with all of our community lenders and members, as well as the community. So excited to share a little bit about what we do on that front today.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And Jeff?
Yeah, so I'm Jeff. I'm the president at Mid-America Bank. We're a family-owned, family-ran bank. I manage the day-to-day. I do some lending. Really, we're community-oriented, community-focused, so just involved in as many things in the community as we can be.
That's fantastic. And now, Ryan, with FHLBank Topeka, not quite the traditional bank that we think of, right? Remind our viewers what you guys are up to around the community.
Yeah, it's a unique story. So there's 11 federal home loan banks across the country, and our title's a little misleading sometimes because people think we just do home loans, but we're actually a cooperative, so we're owned by our member institutions, which include banks, credit unions, insurance companies, CDFIs. And so the reality is what we do is serve our members through their institutions. And like I said, 11 in the country, founded in 1932. We've been here since 1932. Charles Curtis was the vice president when the system was conceived, so that's why Topeka has one. And so we work with our members like Jeff's Bank and many others across our 4-state region, which is Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Colorado.
Wonderful. And now recently, I understand FHLBank Topeka had the 50 grants through the 500 for Good program. For our viewers, what is the 500 for Good program? What is this?
Sure. So a lot of what we do is daily liquidity, and Jeff can talk about that a little bit, but the other part of what we do is really community building, and that's 10% of what we earn going up to 15% of what we earn every year. It goes back to community, to affordable housing, to a number of different things. But 500 for Good was meant to be a small, what we call micro grant program. And the idea is that we just asked our members, if you had $500 in your community to do something good, what would that be? And so we receive hundreds of applications. We sort through them by ourselves as the staff and try to find just unique service-based projects in these communities that might make a difference. And we, since 2018, we have done $125,000 through this program, so 250 different projects. And Jeff's bank won in 2021 and then again this year.
That's
so we
incredible.
just announced those last week.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And, yeah, Jeff, what causes did your grants help with?
Sure. So in 2021, we applied for a grant through the Federal Home Loan Bank that went to the Baldwin Education Foundation's CARES Fund. And the CARES Fund was something that we had set up in 2018, really because the counselors and the teachers had come forward and said, we are seeing an increased need in students that need things like toiletries, soap and deodorant, school supplies, food, snack food to get them through the weekend, things like that. And we have great teachers, great faculty, and honestly, they were paying for a lot of it out of pocket. Wow. And we stepped in and said, that's great, we appreciate it, but that's not on you, that's on the foundation. So we set up what we call the CARES Fund that is kind of a small petty cash fund that counselors can dip into whenever they see a need. They don't have to submit a request form, they don't have to submit paperwork. It's just there, and they can go buy whatever they need. One of the examples that initially brought this forward was there was actually a kid who was getting picked on, a junior high kid, and he was getting picked on because he stunk. He didn't have soap, he didn't have deodorant, and you can imagine what a 12 or 13-year-old kid smells like after gym class. We set up this fund not specifically for him, obviously, but for purposes like that. Kids can't learn, they can't achieve excellence if they're self-conscious or they're getting picked on. So we submitted the application to the Federal Home Loan Bank in 2021. Coming out of COVID, we saw an even bigger need for this kind of stuff, kids that were going without. And so really the $500 helped us supplement the program that the foundation was already funding.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That is really great. And Ryan, any other type of projects that the grant has helped with?
Yeah, and again, this is a fun one because these are meant to make what I think of as sort of a thoughtful difference. A lot of our projects are big, multi-million dollar, it's for housing projects and for big chunks. This was totally different in that, and it started tiny. I think we maybe had 8 our first year. but it's grown because these are tangible stories. These are things that really do make an impact. And so honestly, the tough part is sorting through a lot of these, because you hear some really compelling stories and some things that that make a thoughtful difference. And so we've had planting trees, hanging up Christmas decorations in small towns. And again, throughout our 4 states, we serve large communities, small communities. And so it's really neat to hear from our members in their communities what actually matters, what would make a difference. And so we've served a number of different purposes over these last few years, and every year the applications are creative and interesting. We have animal shelters, like I said, planting trees. It depends, and that's kind of the neat part of 500 for some reason gives people a lower barrier and gives them something really tangible to think about. And so we've seen some really cool projects.
That is really great. It's great that you're able to help on such, a large scale projects, but all these smaller ones too. It really does. It means a lot to a lot of communities like that. I know, Jeff, for yourself, for Mid-America Bank, what's the partnership with FHLBank Topeka, been like? Yeah,
so the partnership is great, and it has such a huge impact on our overall business and what we do. Most of what we do is real estate lending, so obviously we're a great partner. 91% of our loans are home loans. And with them being the Federal Home Loan Bank, obviously there's a lot of natural synergies there. We work with them on what they call the Mortgage Partnership Finance Program, which has allowed us to originate thousands of single-family mortgages since we started working with them. We started with that program in 2010, and so over 15 years, we've been able to make a pretty substantial impact with just that program in and of itself. It allows us to make those loans and keep them local, so people's loans aren't getting sold to Wells Fargo or JP Morgan, and they know who they're working with. If you've got a question about your loan, you're going to call in and talk to one of the same people whenever you call in. One of the biggest challenges in housing right now is affordability, and so they've got several programs that we work with them on that are focused on affordability. One is called the Homeowner Set-Aside Program, and that is geared toward people who are classified as low to moderate income, and it's down payment assistance up to $15,000 toward the purchase on your first home, which that's a big barrier for people that are trying to get into their home, is their down payment money. They also came out with a product this year. It was the initial year for the product, called the Mortgage Rate Reduction Program, which is, it's just that. It's a reduction on your interest rate. It's a discount, again, for people that meet those income requirements. And that helps get the payment down. It helps get their monthly payment down to a more affordable level. So really, on the real estate lending and the affordable housing side, they're a huge partner for us. They're, central to what we do, really, in our daily operations.
That is incredible. It sounds like it's a great partnership, and great things that FHLBank Topeka is doing. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. It has been such a pleasure chatting with you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And to learn more, you can visit FHLBTopeka.com.